I've been
Welcome
excited
back.
to watch
The global
this.
battlefield is expanding beyond the land, sea, and air. Now in the far reaches of outer space, American
This is what I'm talking about. Yes. Oh,
forces have used technology in space to destroy Iran's military infrastructure during Operation
it just exploded. No missile.
Epic Fury, while tracking and shooting down retaliatory missiles. The New York Post reports Space Force's infrared beams track the missiles the second they launch via the heat they create. Crews work inside radar domes called radomes, resembling giant golf balls.
Who named that? Who named that? Come on. We can do better. We can do better.
They receive information in the sky in real time, calculate the trajectory of missiles, and therefore their likely destination, and act accordingly.
This is ridiculous. If we can do this to scale globally with satellites, like what kind of war is that? When you show up on a battlefield and there's no artillery or missile usage because everything can be shot down. And then once your enemy has that tech, it just invalidates the entire warfare. Maybe that's the end goal. Maybe eventually we get to a place where we don't have to worry about nuclear warfare. That might not be good. I mean, nuclear warfare is a terrible thing, and I wish we didn't have nukes. But they do keep things from escalating between certain groups of people that have a lot of explosive capability, nuclear or not. So I guess that's the point. So
joining me now with more of this is the man of the hour, NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman. Jared, welcome back. It's good to see you this morning. We so appreciate your time.
there we go.
Oh, it's great to be back.
We've talked in the past about space being a major national security issue, and we need to protect it. Give us your take on specifically how space is involved in this particular fight and the battle on Iran.
Absolutely. And space is the ultimate high ground, right? President Trump certainly knows this. It's why he...
This guy's probably the reason we're winning. I'm sure he heard everything that the enemy was doing and relayed the information back to us.
He created the Space Force during his first term. It's why he created the Artemis program, which is kind of on the peaceful civil side of space, which is my responsibility at NASA. And that's America's moon rocket behind us right now. But you're absolutely spot on. The assets we have in space, the satellites that are there for observation, for communication. I mean, these are the capabilities that are identifying the rocket launches, that are communicating to our forces and give America an extreme edge in this conflict.
I saw somewheres that I guess these lasers, they're not normally visible to the naked eye. You have to be watching them through certain type of filtered lens or camera, right? And that really sucks, man. I just want Star Wars space laser beams coming down. Target identified. And to me, that's a better form of warfare. I'm not really big on having, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people being forced, most likely by their governments, to go and fight each other like it's some kind of sick reality show, especially with all the cameras. I couldn't imagine what a mass war would look like nowadays. Everybody's got a supercomputer and they'd try to shut it down.
Yeah, and that's why we worry so much about protecting space, because we know that that's where our satellites are, and an adversary would want
protecting space. And eventually it just becomes a prison planet. Better to be the jailer, I guess. Maybe there's life out in space, so we might have to consider an external defense. That could be a really powerful unifying force. And with AI getting better, we could just fake that at some point, right? After all, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah. They're trying to fake all kinds of stuff with the AI. All right.
Want to take down our satellite to shut the lights, certainly on Earth and impact America. Have we seen evidence of an adversary trying to mess with any of our satellites?
Of course they've tried to mess with our satellites. Can you imagine what we've done to their satellites? Come on. Sometimes I think people they want to believe that it's a good world. You know, it's just not. I wish that it was. I'm getting buzzes. Let's see. I like the background you had the other day with the green globe looking thing. That was cool. Wait till he sees this. This looks pretty good. I like this. Borders. We got the ticker going, right? And is there anybody here? There's somebody watching. So the ticker can be updated. What? I mean, I think that's bad for like my second time ever putting my face on a live stream, you know, besides like TikTok's a long time ago. That was gay.
Well, there's no question about it. Again, this is why President Trump created the Space Force, is because this is one of the most important technological domains, and it is no longer secure. I mean, our adversaries have capabilities in space that can threaten our assets. Now, we, of course, have our assets in space that can counter some of that. It's also why the high ground of space keeps getting higher. The satellites initially in low Earth orbit are closer to Earth. They're probably a lot more vulnerable to the satellites we have in geostationary orbit. But now this is why cislunar space is important. You get higher up, you can still...
They're going to take the moon and they're going to turn it into the Death Star. I think I'm here for it.
Still look down on Earth. You have some greater freedom of maneuverability the farther away you get. This is kind of the reality of the new space race.
So what does the U.S. need to do right now then, Jared? I mean, when you look at the...
Absolutely dominate in every way that we can dominate. If we have at scale space lasers and no one else has it, we need to put them onto the moon and hold the entire Earth hostage in a good way. Not like, you know, evil villain. That sounded like a villain. That's not why I meant it. It's not supposed to be villainous. It's supposed to be security, American security, global security.
National security stakes, whether it be lunar dominance, satellite protection, space supply chains. What are you most focused on, and what does the United States now need to do to protect
that sounds
space?
Cool.
Well, my first day on the job, I'm in the Oval Office as President Trump signs America's space policy, America for superiority in space. Now, my responsibility is on the civil, peaceful side to it. What are we doing about it? We're returning to the moon. We're returning to the moon, and we're going to stay. We're going to build a lunar base. And next up is Artemis 2, which is America's moon rocket. It's right behind me. 8.8 million pounds of thrust. We're going to send 4 astronauts.
8 million pounds of thrust. That sounds like a lot of thrust.
Around the moon in a matter of weeks, safely back to Earth. And then we're going to set up for missions every year, again in 27 until 28, when we land on the moon. And again, this time to stay. We're doing the other things. We're going nuclear power.
We're doing the other things. Man, sometimes I don't feel like I could ever be successful. And then I listen to people who were successful speak and share their thoughts. They're just as dumb as me. I wish I could say I was as smart as them, but that would be a lie.
And propulsion in space, so someday you can see American astronauts plant the stars and stripes on Mars. So this is kind of our role that we fulfill here at NASA. We're pioneering, ensuring American leadership in the high ground of space. Then you've got Space Force. They're the ones that are standing out in the hill. They're looking out for everyone here on Earth. And then you've got looking out farther into space as NASA kind of leads the way.
Yeah, that's so fast.
I don't feel like NASA's leading the way. That would be cool, but it really feels like SpaceX is leading the way. Like they're the ones launching most of the satellites, getting us up there, putting all these strategic things in place, making sure we can provide battlefield internet on demand. And it didn't feel like NASA's really been at the forefront of that, but I do feel like NASA is poised to take advantage of the changing tide. Let's go.
Fascinating. I want to get back to the nuclear propulsion comment that you just made, but you've been referencing Artemis behind you. What do we need to understand about Artemis, Jared? What do you want to tell us about Artemis? Do we want the camera to widen out or go closer to show us specifically what you're referring to?
Okay, well, what's most important about Artemis is it's a program that lives on beyond any one rocket. You know, President Trump wants to make sure that we pick up where Apollo 17 left off. We are not just going back to the moon to plant the flag and bring home rocks and leave the footsteps, but to build an enduring presence on the moon, a moon base where we can realize the scientific, economic, national security value on the moon, to be a proving ground to test out the capabilities for someday when America's journey takes us to Mars. So this is the opening episode, but you're going to start seeing moon launches to the moon almost on a monthly cadence. A lot of uncrewed vehicles are going to go there as we start to build out the moon base. You're going to see crewed vehicles with astronauts going at some point.
Okay, I want to say this early. A lot of rover footage just looks like footage from down in Argentina. Like it could have been done down there. All right? So on the conspiracy side of things, I don't necessarily believe that. I'm just saying. I've seen people suggest that all the space footage is just filmed on Earth, right? So if you listen to the way this guy is describing this, it just sounds like it's gonna be a set, right? And then like the real advanced technology part of it is that they're gonna be using robots to build it. But as AI advances and they just start showing us all kinds of crazy shit while we continue to live our regular ass lives out there. Like at the best, I guess I've added AI to my life and I've learned to like do this stuff. It's one thing to think, oh, it's the Matrix, right? It's a simulation. Okay, it's a simulation. We exist as beings, and those beings, we interact with each other based on observing each other, right? Something like that, something super scientific-y. But the other option, and maybe you can have both options, is that not only do you exist as a divine being whose presence is just detected by the matter, and we're the universe observing itself, but also you live in the Truman Show, where everything is curated from the moment you're born.
And you made such an important point in terms of the U.S. picking up the pace of all of this as China is trying to win here as well. The Financial Times article, Jana Robinson writes this: one of the next contested space portfolios is not in the realm of rockets, lunar landers, or satellite constellations. It is embedded in the often overlooked ground game of infrastructure projects, long-term partnering agreements. Not surprisingly, the culprits here, the two authoritarian space powers, China and Russia. What can you tell us?
Well, I absolutely think the nations that are taking on the big, bold, grand endeavors and actually achieving them is how they're pursuing national security objectives. When America returns to the moon, builds a moon base,
it's going to be so embarrassing if we get there and the Chinese are already there and ahead of us, right? Like to get there and, there's like a fully functional Russian space. Now, I do not think we're going to find that. I don't. I feel like maybe we wouldn't know, but I just feel like the government would know, right? Like if China's just launching rockets towards the moon, we should know about that. If not, what the are we spending our tax money on? Like for real, because we should know that. And if China's not launching all this shit to the moon, maybe we could use that money on all those cheap flights to the moon to do more constructive things here in our own country.
Returning to the moon this time to stay, it sends a message. It sends a message to every one of our adversaries, our geopolitical rivals around the world.
I want to be fiscally responsible and go to the moon at the same time. But I'm
world of what we are capable of doing. It sends a message of what we're capable of doing across every one of the most important emerging technological domains. I will tell you, it is absolutely a race right now. Success and failure on the moon is going to be measured in months, not years.
When will the U.S. have the capability to defend or even repair satellites in space?
Well, I'd say we have demonstration missions, again, on the kind of peaceful civil side for doing on-orbit boosting of satellites, on-orbit refueling of satellites. In fact, our entire lunar strategy with our two moon partners that are building our lunar landers, SpaceX and Blue Origin, incorporates some degree of on-orbit assembly or on-orbit cryogenic prop transfer. These are going to be game-changing capabilities for the United States. So we are moving in that direction for sure.
I mean, look, without giving anything
All right, let's see it. You know, I want to see it in action.
away, obviously, we want to be careful here, but do you believe that our satellites are vulnerable to cyber or a kinetic attack?
I 100% believe that our adversaries around the world understand how important the high ground of space is and what our satellites are capable of doing.
We all know how important the high ground is, right? I need to get files queued up because, like, right now would have been the perfect time to just bring up, you know, Star Wars. Okay.
Doing again from an observation and communication perspective, and they are doing everything they can to try and challenge it. That's where President Trump's Golden Dome comes in. We're building out even bigger constellations of satellites. We're going higher. We're going into cislunar space. We're sending American astronauts back to the moon to build a moon base. So there's no doubt our adversaries are trying to counter our capabilities in space, but this is why President Trump signs a national space policy calling for the continuation of American superiority in the high ground of space.
Yeah, I mean, that was so smart of President Trump to do that in his first term and then ramp it up in his next term. I want to get back to what we're doing in the war on Iran, because you just mentioned nuclear propulsion. And I spoke with Lindsey Graham, the senator from South Carolina, on Sunday. Listen to what he said. Watch this.
We now know they had enough 60% enriched uranium to make.
I hate this guy. I hate this guy so much. How do people like this get elected? Someone who just so blatantly does not have the best interest of his people, but the interests of another nation, first and foremost. You know, Ted Cruz is another one. Why would anyone support that? You know, even if you support Israel, why would you support Israel over your country? It makes sense if you're Jewish.
Make 11 bombs.
Make 11
What's
bombs.
that worth to America to make
What's
sure
that
they
worth
don't have
to
11
America
bombs?
to make sure that
all of this money is to make sure they never go nuclear, they can't hit us with ballistic missiles, and they stop
Probably not
terrorizing the
that.
region.
Stop harassing
When this regime
politicians.
goes down, we're going to have a new Mideast. We're going to make a ton of money. Nobody will threaten the Straits of Hormuz again. But Donald J. Trump saved the world from real chaos. Witkoff, the negotiator, was told by the Iranians openly that they have stockpiled enough 60% enriched uranium, 460 kilograms, to make 11 bombs. Thank God Trump did this. Can you imagine a year from now? What would it cost America if Iran had 11 nuclear bombs to threaten us? They would hold us hostage. We would be held hostage in perpetuity.
I don't want Iran to have nuclear bombs. They've been a sponsor of state terrorism. They're most likely an asset of the empire.
By this terrorist regime.
Oh, I just came back to this guy. I forgot I hated him so much.
Nuclear and propulsion. Is nuclear propulsion critical for national security when it comes to things like this conflict we're in right now?
Yeah, well, I just want to say, even though I'm here in my NASA capacity, I 100% agree with President Trump, Senator Graham, in that respect. You absolutely can never let a country where they chant death to America have nuclear.
I'm going to stop you there because that's where you should have stopped. We can never let another country. It doesn't need a stipulation. It is a heavy burden to be one of the most powerful or the most powerful military force. And anytime a superior force is removed from power, they are killed. At the very best, we want to integrate. That's the best, is that eventually the entire world. And I know some people thought they were going to do that with like the UN. Growing up, that's what I was taught and or at least made to feel like that's what the UN was, especially when I was further on the left politically. Like, am we just gonna be crooked all night long with this thing, driving me crazy? I was led to believe that we would all integrate with the UN and become like Star Trek, right? But then what I found out is that they really are just siphoning off wealth through currency manipulation to drive a country into decline and then just move that around for hundreds of years. So that's fucking crazy, right? Like, that's fucking super nuts. So
nuclear weapons and highly enriched uranium. You don't even need to use that material to make a bomb. You can simply scatter that material and you can create radiological issues for lots of people and shut down entire areas of land that might not be inhabitable for a very long period of
time. I want to watch that again. Where was that? Yes.
For lots of people and shut down entire areas of land that might not be inhabitable for a very long period of time. It's completely unacceptable for them to ever have that capability. Now, nuclear power is immensely important for civil applications, for peaceful exploration in space. You've got industry like SpaceX, Blue Origin, Rocket Lab, Firefly, all these companies, ULA, building chemical rockets. They can send you someplace within our solar system on a one-way journey. What do you do when you want to go back and forth? That's where you kind of have the interplanetary railroad, if you will, which is nuclear power and propulsion tugs, allows you to move lots of mass from Earth to Mars, for example, and then you can also bring that nuclear power down to the surface. You can make propellant, so when one day American astronauts arrive on Mars, they actually can manufacture the propellant that's going to be necessary to come home to Earth and tell us all about it.
Oh, I heard Elon talking about his idea for the moon. See, that's just the start of it. The moon is your launching point to Mars, right? They're going to build a logistics change because going from Earth to moon with the window distance, I believe, of when we can launch, it comes up quicker from the moon. Probably the dark side of the moon too, which would be cool. So we'll see what happens. But what'd he use? I think he used a Stargate reference or something.
But, I guess what I'm worried about, and our viewers...
Is this recent? Crazy. Breaking news. Cuba announces a nationwide blackout. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We know what blackout means. Uh-oh. We'll come back to that.
Have worried about is China being complicit. Aren't China and Russia right now using their space assets to assist Iran in this fight and identify our forces for targeting?
Well, I certainly can't go into that. That's for the DOW and the intelligence community to talk about. What I will say, at least in the peaceful world of space exploration, Russia and China have already announced actually long ago collaboration on nuclear power on the moon, on the far side in the shaded in the South Pole.
I'm starting to think the way that our relationship has shifted with Europe, and as the Earth is moving towards more polar powers, my understanding, maybe we'll all just collaborate. Maybe in space there will be collaboration where you don't have access to the resources of Earth. Just up there is up there, and down here is down here.
To build a nuclear power plant alongside a research station. It's also why President Trump in his American Space Superiority executive order said America needs to build nuclear power and propulsion in space to enable Mars, but also to enable our base on the moon as a proving ground for future missions farther into the solar system.
So
bottom
cool.
line,
I hope I get to see
is
this
space becoming the next battlefield?
It's going to take forever.
And is America ready for that?
It's already there, but I will say space is already the ultimate high ground. It is a battlefield. I will just say we have the best president, loves space, understands the appreciation.
Love space.
Understands the importance of space. It's why he created the Space Force in his first term. It's why he created the Artemis program. It's why he created the Artemis Accords. And it's why on my first day in the job, President Trump signed the executive order on American superiority in space.
And should we be relying on
Amen.
private companies? I mean, Jared, talk to us about SpaceX helping in this assist in terms of critical national security
SpaceX
infrastructure.
helping. Everything we are going to be able to do, launching and landing rockets, is all going to be thanks to Elon. The times we're living through are going to be monumental for history. And the way that people will look back on this in 100 years at the Trump administration, at the beginnings of SpaceX, it's being laughed at now, but we will dominate. It will be like the Star Trek Federation at some point. It's going to be amazing. Probably won't be around to see it, or maybe we will. Maybe we'll be like the little pulled skin lady in Doctor Who. Terrible reference.
Well, I would say that America right now has the healthiest, most competitive launch industry in the history of America's space program. We have SpaceX for sure. We have Blue Origin. We have Rocket Lab, Firefly, ULA. But when you talk about SpaceX specifically, if we did not have their reusable rockets, their rockets that return to Earth, land on ships,
you ain't done
we would
shit
be
in
falling
decades.
behind our adversary, China, in terms of orbital launches every year. The capabilities they give us, and now Blue Origin has reusable rockets. That is the difference between who can put mass up in orbit, and that's your observation satellites. Those are your communication satellites. Those are the capabilities right now that are making the difference in the Iranian conflict.
So do you believe that China is trying to plant the first permanent base on the moon?
Bruh. We better not lose to China. But like, I see all kinds of cool they do on the internet. When it comes to constructing things, being able to just tell people to go build it, man, I hope we beat them. Come on, capitalism. Let's get to the moon.
And what does that mean if it were to do that?
I 100% believe we are in a race right now against China, and the difference between success and failure is months.
I think we'll fake
if
it
we
like
come
we
up
did
short,
against Russia.
China will get there. They will get to the moon before America had a chance to return, and they will start building a base exactly where we want to be on the South Pole. They've already stated this. It's why we can't lose. We can't fall behind. It's why I'm here right now with America's moon rocket. We're upping the cadence. We're going to go from launching this thing every 3 years. We're going to try and launch it every year. We're working alongside our partners at SpaceX and Blue Origin, Boeing, and Lockheed to get on the game, start moving very fast, launch moon rockets, return to the moon, build the base.
Jared,
right,
what a background you have to be in this role now, a private astronaut, billionaire entrepreneur, SpaceX mission commander, now running NASA. This is an amazing position that you find yourself in. What's your #1 priority right now, Jared?
Yeah, Jared.
Oh, there's no question. I am grateful to be here. I'm working alongside the best and brightest. I mean, you have some of the smartest talent, engineering might from America that converges here at NASA to do the near impossible. You know, what is my greatest priority? What's keeping me up at night? Making sure we can deliver on President Trump's national space policy, return Americans to the moon, build the moon base, establish that enduring presence for, again, all that we may learn. Knowledge is power in space, and it's going to be our stepping stone.
Well, I haven't exactly been like super impressed with NASA for the last decade, I guess. Maybe longer. When I was a kid, I used to be really into it, but then like they just stopped doing anything.